All right, we are back here at the 51st Annual Think New England Clinic, and I'm now joined by a legendary figure around these parts, Keith Kenyon. Keith, of course, you and Terry Lynch run the clinic. Great to see you, my friend. Thank you for having us, as always. I know last year we did the live stream. This year, we kind of, me and Kyle talk, conversation with a coach on the couch. That's what we're going for this year. But first of all, another great lineup. I mean, it amazes me year in and year out how you guys are able to bring so many great coaching minds here and have them educate our high school coaches and our youth coaches. Talk about this year's clinic and your thoughts so far in terms of how it's going.
Well, and it was a great lineup. You know, I think before we even added Bill Belichick, I think it was a great lineup.
Yeah,
so
it was.
Bill was kind of like the frosting on the cake. So, but you know, it just doesn't happen, John. And some of the things you mentioned earlier, when you've been around for 51 years, you have some credibility in this when you go after some of these big name speakers. But it's always, everything is about relationships, you know, of knowing people and keeping in contact with them. And it's not like I contact them once a year. I mean, you cultivate that relationship over a period of years, and you're able to secure some big guys. But, you know, our clinic, without getting into too much detail, has more of a family atmosphere. There's some of the bigger, more corporate ones that they fly coaches in and fly them right back out after they're done. We don't do that. I mean, we want them to enjoy the weekend in Newport, socialize, and sometimes we socialize too much, but we have a good time.
You wouldn't be a football coach if you didn't.
That's right.
It's a big part of our business. Obviously, you know, you mentioned the speakers and you talked about Coach Belichick coming in yesterday. Of course, he spoke at 11 o'clock, head football coach in North Carolina. A little different for him. He's not used to necessarily doing the clinic circuit, but it is a big part of what you do as a college coach. But then you've got Billy O here, Bill O'Brien is here, Bob Chesney was here, Joe Harris-Simiak is here, Liam Cohn spoke last night, you head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. In fact, I just saw Liam walk by, Rhode Island native, of course. How much does getting those guys, and let's face it, cachet matters, right? And you mentioned the fact that it's a family environment, it's a long-standing clinic, but how much does getting those guys not only help coaches in the area, but the clinic itself?
Well, I mean, obviously big names bring people to it. You know, and Bill Belichick was such a legend in this area, you know, and I think that because he, you know, when he was in the NFL, there was no need for Bill to do clinics, and he was in demand to speak at clinics, but he didn't do it, but now he's in a place where he needs to recruit, so it changes the dynamic. But I'll tell you a little story aside, John, is that the woman that Bill's dating now was a cheerleader at Dawson Regional High School when I was there, and I was the head football coach and the principal and that kind of thing. And so Jordan was the one I connected with Bill on, because there's a lot of layers before you get to Bill Belichick, as you can imagine. So, you know, everything was through Jordan, and we finally got it done. It was right down to the wire. We didn't get confirmation from Bill until Thursday.
That's a great story, man. Breaking news here at the Big New England Clinic. Keith Kenyon using his relationship with Jordan to get Coach Belichick. It's great stuff, man. Hey, to your point about relationships mattering, there you go. And as someone who's in education, relationships with kids do matter. In particular at the high school level. Obviously later on down the road, certainly you want to help your students and be there for them, but in this case, Jordan helped you guys.
Exactly. She was great. She was fantastic. So.
Yeah. Obviously some changes in the area. You were able to get Joe Harris-Simiak down here as the head football coach at UMass. Everybody's starting spring ball next week. Just some thoughts on getting the new UMass staff here and getting them to be a part of this.
You know, Joe and I go back a long time because I'm a Springfield guy and so is Joe. And he spoke at this clinic many, many times. But we're really happy for him for UMass. You know, at the same time, I got to tell you, it's a double-edged sword because I was a Don Brown fan. I love Don Brown. So I'm happy for Joe. He's put together a fantastic staff, and they're all here. Every one of those UMass guys is in this place. And so we have a very good relationship with them, and now a great relationship with Boston College because of Billy O'Brien.
Yeah, and of course, Coach O'Brien was here last year. We had a good opportunity to speak to him. And, we're scheduled to speak with him today. You know, obviously you coached for a long time. You coached in Rhode Island. You've coached in Massachusetts. I don't just throw a legend out there for nothing. I mean, you've been around a long time. You won a lot of football games, my friend. But one thing coaches ask me all the time, like, you know, you miss coaching. And admittedly, yes, I do. In fact, I went back this year and to an on-field role at King Philip because you miss the competitiveness of it. But this stuff keeps you in it too. I mean, even though you may not necessarily feel a competitive void, but still, just to be around the game, be around coaches, put this thing together, it's still pretty cool.
It's it's a labor of love, it really is. I mean, I enjoy doing this. It's a
You
lot
don't
of
last
hours.
51 years.
Nah, you gotta do your homework and you gotta be good at it. But I love the weekend, seeing all the people, and you watch this.
It's like a family reunion. I don't want to get corny about it, but it really is. It's like a family reunion.
Everybody's hugging. Everybody meets my grandsons, and everybody meets my daughter, my wife, and so it's a great atmosphere.
Kids making appearances.
Yeah.
We got it all here, folks. We got it all here at the Big New England Clinic. Families running by, kids making appearances. It's awesome. That's your point that it's a family environment.
It really is, yeah. So we love it. I mean, we love doing it. Terry and I and Kyle Archer does a great job.
You guys are
for us,
fantastic.
too. But yeah, it's fun when the staff's like, last night we have a hospitality suite for our coaches that speak. I was in there with Bob Chesney until late in the midnight hour, but just talking
had Bob on
because
earlier.
that's what it's about.
Yeah.
It's
He is
just,
salt of the earth.
isn't he? I mean, he's on a trajectory to do some real special things in this game because he gets it.
He gets it.
completely
He gets it as a person.
He does.
That's the name of the game. I know we live in a cutthroat world, and it's all about who you know and climbing the ladder. But at the end of the day, you still got to be a good person
I agree.
doing that. And the fact that he's willing to take time with the local media to sit down, it just speaks to who he is. That's just Bob.
Yep.
And we've been so fortunate to get to know him through the years. And obviously, you guys have gotten to know him, and he's the real deal, man. There's a reason he is where he is.
I agree with you, and I think too, John. You probably noticed this about Bob. I've known him since he got to Salve years and years ago. But when Bob's talking to you, he's not looking over your shoulder to find the next important person. You have his attention.
You have his attention.
And that's something to be said about that, because I deal with a lot of people in this business that are looking over your shoulder for the next person. And that's not Bob Chesney.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. So obviously, you guys wrap up today.
Yes.
Like you said earlier, it's been a really good clinic. Obviously, the lineup speaks for itself. But as you said to me last year, and I think it's the coaching, you're always looking to get better. You're always looking to do more. So as we walk away from this year's clinic, obviously you, Kyle, Terry will sit down and start talking about next year. What are you looking to potentially add to what's an already great clinic? I don't know how you can make it any better, really, but what's your thought process as you look ahead to year 52?
I'm not sure, because we do kind of the autopsy of this when it's all over, while it's fresh in our minds. We get together this week and kind of write down what we think we did well and what we didn't do as well. So we'll have conversations about that. But one of the things we did Thursday night, John, was we had what we call a special team summit. And here at the hotel, really, we sponsored it, but it was really just in the room in the hotel, the room you guys were in last year. And we brought in 20 guys. They were all special teams coordinators at various places, from Boston College to UConn. Bob Chesney was there, and they just talked special teams until 10 o'clock at night from 4 o'clock at night.
That's awesome.
So
Because
those
that's a
guys
third of the game.
Exactly.
And, people don't even think about it, because young coaches grow up, they just want to be offensive coordinators, or, some guys want to be DCs. They don't think about that. That's a third of the game. It's an important part of the game.
It's a huge part of the game, and those guys that coach special teams don't usually get in a room together and talk their craft.
fantastic.
Yeah, it was a great summit that night, so we were really, really happy.
And that's something that I'm sure for you guys, you can build off, right? So, like, if you can get those guys back next year, you can have it in the main ballroom, and now you can make it an additional part of what's already a great clinic, which is...
We were thinking about it too, John, is that if we have this summit and we have these coaches, it's just allowing our attending coaches to just sit and listen. Because it'll be a cool conversation for them to hear these special teams coordinators talk about what they do.
Yeah. Well, Keith, I want to say thank you for having us, my friend. Really appreciate it. I know it's important for us. The way I've always seen it is we're a representative of the football community in New England, and for me, I want to give coaches, players, people like yourself, Terry, Kyle, an opportunity to promote your product, but to promote the game of football. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're all here for, our love of football. And I think it's awesome stuff, my friend. This clinic has always been a mainstay in this region. In many ways, it's been a backbone clinic in this region, because so many young coaches have come here and learned the game and gone on to do great things in the game. So thank you for everything that you guys do.
Thanks,
football, man. I really appreciate it. And thank you for what you do for us, giving us the opportunity
And thank
to come
you
down
for New
here.
England Football Journal. You guys are great to work with. We love partnering with you. And you have an invitation to come here every year you want to come.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it, my friend. And look, you don't have to twist my arm. I love coming down here. So it's good stuff. This is Keith Kenyon. We're here at the 51st annual Big New England Football Clinic. We've got more guests coming up, but I want to say thank you to Keith for having us once again. It truly is a privilege to be at this great clinic. We'll talk to you soon.